accidentally fell into nuclear wastewater, but unexpectedly, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise and changed his life forever. Just as he got into his car to head home and change clothes, his body suddenly began to tremble uncontrollably. The next second, he coughed up a mass of thick black substance. At first, he didn't think much of it, but when he forced himself back home, he collapsed over the toilet, vomiting nonstop. Everything he threw up was the contaminated water he had swallowed. At the same time, an intense chill spread through his body. Even wrapped in thick blankets, he still felt freezing cold. Unbeknownst to him, his body was quietly undergoing a mutation. Strangely, when he woke up the next day, his body had completely returned to normal, and he felt stronger than ever. Realizing he was fine, he went back to work at the construction site as usual. But unexpectedly, he ran into a gang shootout. Bullets instantly sent him falling from the 18th floor. At that height, any normal person would have died on impact. But to his shock, Jake only lay unconscious for a few minutes before suddenly waking up. He was stunned. Hadn't he just fallen from the 18th floor? Why wasn't he dead? Thinking the gang members were still upstairs, he immediately ran for home. To his surprise, he ran dozens of kilometers in one go without even getting out of breath, as if his body had endless energy. But once home, he didn't have time to think. The most urgent thing was to treat the gunshot wound in his shoulder. Just then, his downstairs neighbor started making a huge commotion. Annoyed, Jake lost his temper. He only intended to warn them to quiet down, but with a single punch, he blasted a hole straight through their heavy steel door. The neighbor was so frightened, they immediately hid. Only then did Jake realize something was wrong with his body. To test his suspicion, he pulled out a wardrobe at home and gave it a light push, sending the several hundred-pound cabinet flying. Next, he grabbed the radiator and tore it off with ease. With just a slight squeeze, he crushed it like an accordion. It seemed that after falling into the contaminated water, he had awakened some kind of superpower. To further test it, poverty-stricken as he was, he came up with a bold idea. Late at night, wearing a mask, he went straight to an ATM. He smashed around it wildly. Then with a burst of strength, ripped the several hundred-pound machine right out of the wall and carried it home. With money in hand, he immediately went to a convenience store and bought a pile of his favorite ice cream, stuffing his fridge full. After that, he prepared to treat the gunshot wound on his shoulder, only to find, to his shock, that it had already healed. Even his muscles seemed stronger than before, as if he could knock down a bull with one punch. Just as Jake was still in shock, a scream suddenly came from the neighbor's apartment. To find out what was happening, he stepped outside. He discovered several thugs harassing his female neighbor. Being a timid and honest man, he didn't dare step in at first. He pretended to walk past, went downstairs, and lit a cigarette to calm himself. But unexpectedly, the gang leader took a dislike to him and slapped him, telling him to get lost. Then, without hesitation, they dragged the neighbor into the apartment, planning to assault the beautiful girl. At the critical moment, a man suddenly burst in through the window. It was Jake. This time, he wouldn't let them off. One of the thugs slapped him, but to Jake, it felt like nothing. The next second, he lifted the 300-pound thug into